Okay, so I just want to come back to some more practical steps for your retail project. And so all I want to look at here is the idea of planning out the management of your families. So the example I'm going to use is for one of you the idea of having shelves that are going to be used throughout the space, but I don't really know what the shelves are going to be like exactly. So before I even do very much in this file, I just want to have an idea of the size. So I'm going to take a measurement from here, and on the quick access toolbar, of course, we can get that measuring tool, but if you can't see it there, you can always go to the Modify tab and you'll always have that button there as well for measuring. I'll just click that and I'm just going to measure this little recess, so that's 520 and let's see, so that's about 3 metres or so to there, so that's enough. Okay, so I'll now go and make a new family. So on the File menu, go to New and then Family. And then, for families like shelving, you've essentially got a choice between two templates. You've got metric casework and then metric furniture are your two main options. So the difference is metric casework should be more for built-in furniture, and metric furniture should be more for floating furniture, furniture that's not fixed. And so because shelves will usually be built in or often are built in, I might use metric casework. And even though in reality this shelf might not be fixed, the reason I'm still going to use metric casework is because essentially the real difference between these two categories is that furniture shows, casework shows cut in a section. So if your section line goes through, say your shelves in this case, the shelves that are cut are going to have a heavy line in the section. A nice thick line, like you see when it's cutting through walls and floors. Furniture, on the other hand, won't. So it's always going to have thin lines, even if it's being cut through. So for shelves, I want to see the thick line. So I'm going to use metric casework as my template. The nice thing as well with the casework family is that it gives you these parameters set up in advance, which if you've seen me try and explain parameters to you before, can be fairly involved, setting up those parameters, even basic ones like width and depth that you can see there. So that's a nice thing to get you started with parameters. If you're still not comfortable working with them, this is a really good way of starting. And so on the Create tab now, I'm going to go to Extrusion. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle by eye, not over the reference planes. Right, so I'm very roughly trying to draw it so that it's just almost anywhere, but the key thing is that I'm not trying to line up with the reference planes to start with. And you'll see in a second why, because now that I've done that, I'm going to cancel. In other words, escape twice, and then use the Align tool, and then pick each reference plane. So starting with this at the top, and then I'm going to choose the edge that I want lined up with that reference plane. And that will give me a chance to lock my line to the plane. And so that's why I made it in that way. I made the rectangle first, not aligned, so then I can line it up, and as I'm doing that, lock each of the sides to those reference planes that are already there. And that should make more sense in a minute. You'll see why that's been done, because if I finish it, right, remember before I took that measurement and it was 500, roughly. So that's going to be the depth of my shelf. So I'm going to select this depth parameter, and I can change that to 500, and the box will change because I've locked the edge to my reference plane. So it's a really nice way of being able to change your sizes using those parameters instead of trying to make the box that size. to start with. So again, I'll select this parameter down here and click on that width value, and we'll change that to, let's say, 3000. There we are. So that works really well, and now we'll go to the front view, and then you can see there's another preset parameter for the height. So to lock my box to that plane, I'm going to select it, click and drag, lock. And so now to change the height of my box, again I can click on that height parameter and then click on it again and select and type in the height I want, so let's say 2000. Brilliant, so that's all now under control, and I'll go to my 3D view and make sure I can see my box. If you don't see it when you go into these views, if it looks like this, just remember you can always right click and then zoom to fit. So there it is, and I can orbit to see my box. Not very exciting, but if I go now up to, on the any tab actually, sorry, oh no, definitely create and modify, some of the others don't have it, but create and modify, you can see both have this little panel where you can click on family types. So family types there, next to properties. That also will give you the option to adjust those parameters. So again, I'll change the height just so you can see it changing. And if you've ever wondered why you have apply and OK, unlike on a map, you usually don't have those two options, it's because it lets you change that setting without closing the dialog box. That's what the apply button is for. You don't have to click apply. I see a lot of people thinking they have to click apply, then OK, when they actually do the same thing. Okay, apply is the same as clicking OK, it's just that it doesn't close the dialog box. So if I clicked and did that, let's say 2000 again, if I click OK, it will change to 2000, but it closes the dialog box. So apply just gives you a chance to change the setting, see the result, and leave the dialog box open. That's all. So the depth, again, we'll change that just so you can see it's working, 300, and I'll change the width at the same time. We'll make that 1000, just so you can see this will work for any size box. That's just a good little family to have for boxes, for a start. It's a great thing. So I'll make it 500 again, and then the width 3000. That's what I want to start with. And I'm going to click the new button up the top, new type, and put those sizes into the name. So I'll make it 3000 by 500 by 1800. Length by width by height. Millimeters if you want it. So that's my first size. And now I'll click the new button again. And let's just say I want another size, so we'll try 500 by, again, oh, let's say we want, sorry, not already, width by height. So 3000 by, 2000 by 500 deep by 1800 high again. Okay, so that's my new name. But then, of course, I've got to change this width value to 2000, and if I click apply, I'll see that. So now, up here, I can simply choose between those two different types to see those two sizes. So they're both now stored in my family file. So I'm then going to go to Save As Family, and I'll save this so you can get to, no, I'll save it later so you can get to it afterwards. But for now, I'll just keep it to myself. So I'll save it here, and I'm just going to call this shelf proxy. So it's a proxy for the shelf that I'm going to make later with more detail in it. So I'll click now load into family, sorry, load into project. So there it is, of course, and the base point is on the back, So I'm going to press space twice to flip it around and make sure when I'm placing it that the back is going up against the wall. There we go. And if I want to use the other size, over in the properties you can see there are the two sizes, so I can choose the other one from the list there. And again, space twice to flip it. And maybe we'll just put a few more instances of those. So maybe I want some shelves that are not up, shelves that are not up against the wall. So to get that back now, it's component that you use to place most furniture. So there's my family shelf proxy, and so I'll do some shelves that maybe that are facing each other. Let's say it's like a grocery store or something. Maybe I'll just finish that off by aligning those edges so it's nice and neat. And yeah, now I can get rid of those awful desks. There we go. So, okay, so I've got a couple of families in place where I'm going to have my shelves later. You can see them there, of course. So that's enough to get you started. So very, very quickly, if I then wanted to add some detail though, edit family, and I can maybe make this my shelf. So there are a few ways of making shelves, but I'll just do something fairly basic in the maybe the front view. I'll go to create and void forms, void extrusion, and I'll draw a rectangle and just keep it inside there, and I'll do another one that's underneath. I don't want to go too far into parameters, here, but I'm going to at least do a dimension from the reference plane to the edge of this void, and then place it above and lock it. And I'm going to do a second one from the reference plane to the edge of the second shape there, and then place it. Maybe I'll do this one down below just so you can see it, and again lock it. 83 is not a great measurement, that's just random, but I'm just showing you how you can lock it to the sides because that'll affect the width, you'll see. So there we are. I'm definitely going to change those measurements later, but for now I'll just leave that at those sizes. Finish it, go to my 3D view, and make sure my void is going the right way so it's cutting through those shelves, and let's just see which way I'm... yeah, so actually I don't want to go all the way to the bottom, so I'll just bring it up so it's going... it's going to give me a bit of a back. There we are. So there's my little basic shelf. So I'll save that, load in the project, override existing version. I did it back to front. Okay, so let's go and fix that. Edit family, and my void should have had the back at the top. I always get this back to front with the casework. There we are, that's better. And that's the brilliant thing about it. I don't need to go and fix all of those shelves individually. Just fix the one and load it back in, and there we are. So they're all working now, and you can see they take those changes on. So you just keep adding more and more detail, even if you start with something as simple as a box that is the size of the thing you're trying to make, and then you can come back and add as much detail as you want, and as long as they're families, it's going to update every instance that you've inserted. So that's what I mean about planning out the management of your families and the objects that you're going to design. So in interior design, particularly in architecture, most of the things you design are based on repeated elements. And that's actually one of the things that makes our type of design quite different to other fields where they do a lot more one-off design of things, which we just don't have the time to go into that detail. We do big things and we have a lot of repetition. So that's why BIM and programs like Revit are the way they are, they're set up to manage that complexity and manage the repetition. So, unless you've got any questions, hopefully that's a helpful thing. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so the question's about a curved shelf. I'll show you. It's very easy. I like these because I used to make. I probably bored you with my stories about working in joinery workshops when I was at uni the first time. I was a cabinet maker for many years in a factory that makes. They still make a lot of the real designer furniture for offices and things. Used to be called RTS Studio, but now it's mostly switched over to Anabu. You might have heard of. They're fairly well known. Yeah, they're a good company. Anabu. Anabu, yeah. And we did a bit of stuff for Matt Black as well, but mostly Anabu. So we made a shelf, a curved shelf that was really nice. So I'll show you that. It's really easy. So I'm going to go and make another new family. This is a very quick thing I can show you, so it won't take long. So this time I will use metric furniture because I don't want to see this one being cut in section. And so then it's simply going to be started off with an extrusion. And I'll draw an arc that gives the curve I want for my shelf unit. Something like this. Now I'm just going to do one little thing there. I'm going to select that arc and then click move and pick it up from the midpoint and just snap it over to that centre line. Just so it's centred. I don't care really about the size or how far up and down as long as it's centred left and right. And then I'll offset, I don't know, 600. I've forgotten how deep we used to make these, but that's probably about right. And then draw lines to cap off the ends. So that's, curved shelf base. And here I'm not even worrying about parameters because I'm not going to try and make this adjustable. I'm just making it the size it is. So I'll click tick to finish and go into a 3D view. So here, instead of doing the height in my elevation, I'm simply going to select the extrusion like I have and click and drag on that arrow to bring it up. That, of course, is changing the height. You can type the height in properties as well. So something like that. So I'll go and again save as family and make it shelf curved. Yeah, loop. So even like that, I can load it into my project and start to play around with the positioning and try to set out what I want for my design. Yeah, put a couple of those in. So they probably go in the middle. Probably these sorts of shelves work really well as freestanding things. All right, so you can see them over there. And then again, as I want to add more detail, I can simply select one of them and go and edit the family. There's some really good tricks for turning these things into shelves. Right, so starting with that extrusion, if I make the start, I've forgotten, I should know this, because we used to so many times. Let's say 100. For these, we actually had a higher kickboard, a higher base, but I'll do it 100. And then I'll make the end 120. So it's 20 mil thick. Then it's tempting to copy these up. And you can do that. You can copy them in the elevation, but not without clicking on this button. If I clicked on that, it would dissociate the work plane and then I could use copy and copy them up to get my extra shelves. But I'm not going to do that because I want to show you a better way. The better way, I think, is to, again, when it's selected, click copy to clipboard and then just go paste, align to same place, and then in properties, type in the new height. You'll see it does work better. So I'm going to make it 400, okay, and then the height of the top of the shelf is 420, so we have another 20 mil thick shelf. So then I can just keep repeating that. So again, select any of them, click copy, then paste, align to same place, and then type in your new heights. So I'll make this one, let's do something different. So let's say 700 and then 720. And then actually just click that higher, 800 and 820. Yeah. And then, I'll just do maybe one more that's up near the top. So again, copy, paste the one to the same place, and we'll bring this one right up to the top was, well, in reality we used to make these, I think it was about 1600 high. So I'll make it 1600 and 1620 for the top. So right if it's not. Moving to the bottom, so that's good. And then to do the sides, you would just make panels, and this is actually exactly how we used to build them. We'd use extrusion, well, we'd do flat bits of, veneered timber, and use really nice Italian veneers actually, and then offset 20 to get the thickness. And little tip here, you could follow the curve there, but no one will know if you do that. And in reality, when we built those, we definitely did not make the ends of these things curved. They were just straight ends. So don't try and be too precise with your modelling, because again, you've got to think about how it's built as well, and these things are usually built in a fairly simple way. So again, fill those things in. It would be 120 for the start, and then so actually I'll just put in a random value and finish it, and then check 400. So this one, again, the end is 400. Well, that's right. So I'm thinking of the way we used to really build it, and we'd have a separate piece of timber in between each shelf. And that would be a nice thing. I think it's a nice thing if you can see the joins. That was part of the design. But if you wanted to bring it all the way up, that would be fine as well. So I'm just going to go back to my... Oh yeah, I'll do that first. So I'm going to go into the 3D view, sorry, and yeah, I will stretch it up. So then what we'll get is overlapping geometry. I'll just change the scale. Right, so they're overlapping, which is a bit messy. But it's fine in Revit because you can join them, yeah. So, yeah, I'll do that. So, yeah. So I'm selecting this, and then I'll go back to the plan level just so I can mirror it using this mirror pick axis, and that's why I wanted to center it. So these things are easy to do once you've want to do more modelling. And then I'll use, I just want to get one more shelf, because that looks bad. And so this one, let's try 1200 and 1220. That'll do. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so, but sorry, I can't help myself. It's going to look right. Maybe 20 and 100. That's better. Okay, so now I'll again just use join and join. Oh, okay, it doesn't like it now. Watch out for that. Again, it's because of the way I modelled it. See, Revit's fussy. Right, so to join it, I'd have to have the arc. Yeah, so it's one of those little things. Yeah, you can't cope with the way it's really built, which is a shame. So I'll delete these lines. I'll show you can make a join. So I'm using pick lines to get the arc from the shelf extrusions that I made, and now you'll see it will it'll behave when I go to join. And there's all these little quirks with modelling in Revit. So here I've just again so mirror pick axis, and right, so then the other copy is the same, and I'll join now, and there we go, no problem. we've got to join each one, but there we are, done. So now, if I load that back in, better put some legs on. Sorry, can't help it, but I've got to have legs. So the ones we really did with these beautiful tapered legs, but I will just do an extrusion for now, with a circle starting at 0 and going to 100. All right, so there we go. Finish it, copy it, and again, mirror pick axis, go to the other side, that's good enough. There we are. So again, you can keep adding that detail and just keep updating your families. Now if I load it back in, there we are. Easy. Well, let's do consistent colours and you can see them. Oh, hidden line. Yes. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my shadows. There we go. And that's it. And that is exactly how we built them, except we did also have a piece in the middle to support as well. There was an extra blade for the longer ones. But otherwise, that is a real shelf design. So, yeah, so that's a great approach for, well, any project really, but especially projects like this where you are definitely going to have repeated elements. But at first, when you're doing a concept design, it actually is tying into the assignment because you'll see in the assessment brief, it says that you need to do concept design. You shouldn't be trying to do too much detail while you're working out your design. It's counterproductive and will actually interfere with your design process if you get bogged down in design before you've realised that or decided if the thing's a good idea in the first place. So it's really good to think about that design process as well and think conceptually as well as modelling conceptually. And then, yeah, add the detail as long as you've planned the management of that in Revit, works beautifully.